Hello friend, and if you're on the age pension, a part pension, or you're a self-funded retiree who thinks Centrelink has nothing to offer you, stay with me for the next few minutes, because I'm about to walk you through 6 payments and concessions that are sitting in the system right now, waiting for someone to claim them, and most people never do. This isn't a list of coupons or small change. Some of what I'm covering today is worth over $4,000 a year to the right person. And here's the part that should genuinely bother you. None of it arrives automatically. Services Australia does not ring you up and say, "Hey, you qualify for this. Here's your form." You have to know it exists, and then you have to ask for it yourself. Every March and September, Centrelink runs an indexation cycle. Rates go up, income limits shift, and asset thresholds move. The changes that took effect this year, in 2026, have opened the door for a lot of retirees who were locked out 12 months ago. If you checked your eligibility last year and got knocked back, that answer might be completely different today. And if you've never checked at all, there's a real chance you're one of the thousands of Australians currently leaving money on the table simply because nobody sat you down and explained what's actually available. So that's exactly what we're doing today. I'll go through each one, tell you the real numbers, who qualifies, and what you actually need to do. Stick around until the end, because the last one is the one almost nobody thinks to check, and for pensioners who rent, it might be the biggest gap of all. Before we dive in, if you're not already subscribed, now's the time. The reason I say that every video isn't just habit. Centrelink adjusts pension rates, income tests and concession thresholds twice a year, and when they do, they don't send you a personal letter walking you through what changed and what it means for you specifically. They update a web page and move on. The people who follow this channel find out what's changed before it costs them anything. The people who don't tend to find out months later after they've missed a payment cycle they were entitled to the whole time. So hit subscribe, turn the notifications on, and let's get into the 6 things you need to check. Number 1. Are you actually being paid the right age pension rate? Let's start with the big one. As of the most recent indexation, the maximum full age pension sits at $1,200.90 a fortnight for a single person and $905.20 each for a couple. That's $1,810.40 combined. That's roughly $31,000 a year for a single pensioner and just over $47,000 combined for a couple. Here's what most people don't realize. That number moved. It went up by $22.20 a fortnight for singles and $33.40 combined for couples at the last indexation round. If your bank statement doesn't reflect that increase, or if you're not sure whether you're on the full rate or a part rate and you don't know why, that's worth a phone call. And this is where it gets interesting for anyone who's a bit nervous about earning extra income. There's something called the work bonus, and a huge number of pensioners either don't know it exists or assume any work at all will slash their payment. Under the work bonus, you can earn up to $300 a fortnight from employment. That's up to $11,800 a year, and it is not counted as income against your pension at all. None of it. If you've been turning down shifts at the local hardware store or knocking back casual work because you're worried it'll wipe out your payment, you may have been leaving both your wage and your full pension on the table at the same time. There's also the income and assets test itself, and this is where a lot of confusion creeps in. To get the full single pension right now, your income needs to sit under $226 a fortnight, but you can still receive a part pension with income up to roughly $2,627.80 a fortnight before it cuts out completely. On the assets side, a single homeowner can hold up to around $704,500 in assets outside the family home and still receive a part pension. For a homeowner couple, that figure is around $1,059,000 combined. If your super or savings sit anywhere near those numbers, the difference between a full pension, a part pension, and no pension at all can come down to how your assets are structured, and that's worth getting properly assessed rather than assuming. Number 2. The concession card self-funded retirees don't know they qualify for. If you retired without ever going on the age pension, maybe your super balance was too high, maybe you've got investment income, there's a very good chance you assume Centrelink has nothing for you. That assumption is wrong for a lot of people, and it's costing them real money on healthcare. It's called the Commonwealth Seniors Health Card, and it is not the age pension. It's a separate concession card for retirees who've reached age pension age but don't qualify for pension payments because their income is too high. The current income limit is $101,105 a year for a single person and $161,768 combined for a couple. Notice that's a straight income test. There's no assets test attached to this card at all. That means someone sitting on a substantial super balance who draws a modest income from it can still qualify, even if they'd never come close to qualifying for the pension itself. What does the card actually get you? Cheaper PBS medicines, access to bulk billing incentives with participating doctors, and in most states, discounts on things like electricity, gas, car registration, and council rates. On its own, none of those sound dramatic. Added together over a year, retirees who've picked this card up are often saving somewhere between several hundred and well over $1,000, depending on their state and their prescription needs. One thing to watch, deeming rates changed this year too. If you hold account-based pensions or similar investments, Centrelink assumes they earn a set rate of return for the purposes of this income test, regardless of what they actually earn. The lower deeming rate now applies to the first $64,200 of financial assets for a single person or $106,200 for a couple, with a higher rate above that. If you're sitting close to the income threshold, that shift alone might be the difference between qualifying and not, so it's worth asking Centrelink to run the numbers for you rather than guessing. Number 3. Rent assistance that renters don't realize comes automatically. If you're a pensioner and you pay private rent, this next one matters, and I want to be upfront that this is genuinely one of the more underclaimed supplements in the entire system. Commonwealth Rent Assistance is paid on top of your regular pension if you're renting privately and your rent is above a minimum threshold. It isn't a separate application in most cases, but it does require Centrelink to have your correct current rent details on file. And this is exactly where things go wrong. If your rent has gone up in the last year, and let's be honest, whose hasn't, and you haven't updated that with Centrelink, you could be receiving less rent assistance than you're actually entitled to simply because the system is still working off an old figure. The payment is calculated at 75 cents for every dollar of rent you pay above the threshold, up to a maximum fortnightly amount that's reviewed alongside every indexation cycle. If you've never lodged a rent certificate, or it's been more than a year since you updated one, that's a 5-minute job through MyGov that could mean an extra payment landing in your account every single fortnight from here on. Number 4. The pensioner concession card benefits most people only use half of. If you're on the age pension, you almost certainly already have a pensioner concession card. What a lot of people don't use properly is everything that card actually unlocks. Beyond the obvious, cheaper prescriptions and bulk billing, the card gives you access to the Hearing Services Program, which covers free hearing assessments and subsidized hearing aids through approved providers. Given how expensive hearing aids are through a private audiologist, that's a benefit worth thousands of dollars that a lot of cardholders never touch because nobody told them it was included. On top of that, most states run their own energy rebate schemes tied directly to holding a pensioner concession card or a Commonwealth Seniors Health Card. automatic discounts on your electricity account, and in some states, water and council rate concessions as well. These aren't things you apply for through Centrelink directly, they're usually applied through your energy retailer or local council once you show them your card. If you've had the same card sitting in your wallet for years and never once mentioned it to your electricity provider, it's worth a phone call to check whether that concession has actually been applied to your account. Number 5. Carer payment and carer allowance. Different things and both underclaimed. If you're caring for a spouse, a family member, or a friend with a disability or a medical condition, there are two separate supports here, and the confusion between them means a lot of carers only ever claim one. Carer allowance is a supplementary payment, currently $162.60 a fortnight, and importantly, it is not means-tested for most recipients and can be paid on top of other income support, including your own age pension if you're caring for a partner. Carer payment is a completely different means-tested payment for people whose caring responsibilities stop them from working substantial hours. The reason this matters right now is straightforward. A lot of older Australians caring for a partner assume that because they're already on the age pension, there's nothing extra available. That's often not true. If you're providing regular, ongoing care and you've never specifically applied for carer allowance separately, that's worth checking today, not next year. Number 6, the one almost nobody thinks to check. Reviewing your own record. Here's the one I promised you at the start. It doesn't have a catchy name and it isn't a payment in itself, but it might matter more than anything else on this list, especially if you're a homeowner. Every one of the payments and concessions I've just walked through depends on Centrelink having accurate, current information about your income, your assets, your rent, and your relationship status. People's circumstances change. A partner passes away, a property gets sold, super gets drawn down, rent goes up, and if that information isn't updated, you're either being paid the wrong amount or worse, missing out entirely on something you'd now qualify for. This is especially true for widows and widowers. If your circumstances changed because you lost a partner, your income and assets position looks completely different than it did as a couple, and your entitlements should be reassessed properly, not left running on old settings. Centrelink will not automatically reassess your maximum entitlement just because your life changed. You generally need to prompt that review yourself. The fix here costs nothing and takes about 20 minutes. Log in to MyGov, go through your Centrelink online account, and go through every section, income, assets, rent, relationship status, and check it actually reflects where you are right now, not where you were 2 or 3 years ago. Bringing it all together. Let's recap, because that was a lot of ground to cover. Check that you're on the correct age pension rate and that you understand the work bonus if you're doing any paid work. If you're a self-funded retiree, look into the Commonwealth Seniors Health Card. There's no assets test, only an income test, and the threshold is higher than most people assume. If you rent privately, make sure your current rent is actually on file with Centrelink, so your rent assistance reflects reality. Use everything your pensioner concession card actually offers, including hearing services and state energy rebates. If you're caring for someone, check whether you're getting both carer allowance and carer payment, not just one. And finally, sit down and review your own Centrelink record from top to bottom, particularly if your circumstances have changed in the last year or two. None of this comes looking for you. That's the one thing every item on this list has in common. The money and the concessions exist, the rules are set, and the only thing standing between you and what you're entitled to is making one phone call or spending 20 minutes on MyGov. If this helped you get a clearer picture of what's actually available, do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to hear it. A parent, a neighbor, a friend who's on the pension and hasn't looked at any of this in years. And if you want to stay ahead of the next round of changes in September, make sure you're subscribed, because this is exactly the kind of thing that shifts twice a year without anyone telling you directly. I'll see you in the next one.